Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your host Rashid, and I'd like to bring in, with no further delay, a person that I've been looking forward to interviewing, and he was a captain in the Serbian armed forces, and his name is Mike Milo. I always mess this up, Mike Milosevic. That's his name. So I'll bring him in right now. How's it going
Hello.
today, Mike?
Hey, I'm good. How are you, Rashid?
I'm doing pretty good, Mike. Before we get to the 800-pound elephant in the room about what's going on in Ukraine, I have to ask you,
Yeah.
what is the feeling going on in Europe about the situation in the Red Sea and the unbridled, unhinged attack on the Palestinians from Israel?
Well, in Europe, basically, people like to look their own business, try to move from today to tomorrow. But in general, when you look for the ordinary people, ordinary population, yeah, I would say there is a mixed feelings because the media, what they're doing, media is feeling people a bit. Not so honest information. Hardly any country really has a objective approach. Listen both sides. It's when you look with the mainstream media like a BBC or Deutsche Welle or whatever of those those large companies, they're doing what they were told by their editors or chief editors or people who are in power. So in other countries, for instance, in Slovakia, I would say they have pretty realistic presentation. In Serbia also, Serbia News has a very good good news, listening both sides, interviewing people who have objective approach, also people with a subjective approach. Regarding to the situation in the Red Sea, you will not really see so many information about that because it's some kind of like a back door, something that is not really so important for general European population because the major is Ukraine and all of that stuff is going. It's overwhelming. It's under 50% people talking about that. So unfortunately, Palestinians are only covered with people that are going to the street. You will not see so many stuff talking about ongoing war or ongoing genocide against civilian population. You will not see so many of those horrific photos in media. But I believe that people, the ordinary people that, as I mentioned previously, trying to survive from today to tomorrow, it's starting to get to them. It's not something that really. It's not something that they can really hold for too long. And you see in some European countries, like in France, in Netherlands, in Germany, people start to protest. Farmers getting against the government establishment, and it's a pot. If you thinking that it's almost like a pot. So it's pot pressure cooker with a failed safety valve. So there's something that pressure is building up, and eventually one day is going to blow. No matter how media is trying to extinguish that or reduce that pressure, and the situation is it is what it is, and people are simply moving along with that. But it's getting slowly but steady. I saw that slowly but steady. People are starting to get aware of what is really going on around them.
I asked that question because of the situation in Europe when it comes to oil and gas and the energy situation, and it seems like
Yeah.
it should take a bigger place in the media in Europe because
Yeah.
of the energy insecurity that's going on. Why?
Exactly. I mean, energy is something that will hit the pocket. People now paying double prices for utilities, double prices for food. European stores are not restocked as they were before, so it is going on a negative way regarding to the people's ability to live from their work. Actually, because I will tell you an example. My cousin, he used to live in Germany, had his own business, good business. It was like beverages distribution. He supplied a lot of clubs in Germany, but he told me enough is enough because businesses are starting to go down, prices are increasing, and he simply go back home. return back home. And I know quite a lot of people that simply gave up of Western Europeans countries and going back home. And not only Western European people from Canada, for instance, are going back home because they're saturated with situation. Now European economies they are dependent on the cheap energy sources like Russian gas, Russian oil, but now they have to pay triple or quadruple prices for the same stuff, and of course distribute. But bear in mind that when you mention the Red Sea, Houthis are not blocking stuff that is going to Europe. They're only blocking stuff that is going to Israel. And they justify that because they're trying to protect their brothers in Gaza, which I think it's pretty it's reasonable. So it's that crisis in the Middle East or Red Sea transportation is not affecting yet situation in Europe, but it will. Europe is in the next few years it will really feel what does it mean to have a long-term effects without cheap Russian gas. They will get the gas from the States when States decide to do that. When the big guy decide to send it, yeah, and there is always can be excuses, but for now, what is working is they simply talking about they blame Russia for everything, and they shoot themselves in the boat legs, boat foot, so blowing up that Nord Stream. It's not some Ukrainian divers; it was organized sabotage on professional level, because you can't blow up the pipeline encased in the concrete encased in the concrete in the bottom of the sea, on the bottom of the sea. So yeah, it's professional stuff, and who to blame, because it's simple. It is those who canceled the inquest for the and search for the who really made the problem there.
And another reason why I ask is because I see more European states are starting to say that they're going to send warships to the Red Sea or close to the Red Sea.
With what?
It's crazy.
With what? With those cans? You know what happened today? I just saw a report that the German warship, they identified the target, they fired that target, and they missed with both missiles. So, but the target was actually U.S. Drone. The Germans fired on the U.S. drone and missed. So they made a double mistake. First, they failed to identify the friendly drone, and the second one they failed to hit.
Wow.
So much about German warships. Those captains in Kriegsmarine during the World War II, they're spinning in their graves if they find out how their grandkids doing there. The only thing that what Europe achieved is basically nothing. They can't defeat Houthis. Houthis doesn't care. They don't give a for what's going on with those let's say coalition ships or whatever. US and Brits, they're attacking them, but Houthis, they simply deploy the stuff all around the country. They have extremely good decoys, good masking. In Russia, they call it maskirovka. So it's basically stuff which is related to camouflage. So U.S. and British planes, they bombing the targets. They reporting about destroy stuff, but what they destroyed, donkey carts with a few phone posts or light posts or plumbing stuff. Install that, so they can't do anything. And Houthis, when they said that they're going to just attack British, American, and Israeli related ships, yeah, they're doing that, and the whole Western world can just walk around and try to hate them, because that's the only thing that they can do. And look for those, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. There was you paused, the screen paused a little bit. I think there was a little small connection problem. It paused for a second. So, but I wanted to ask you, what is going on? What is the real news going on in Ukraine? We know what we hear on Western TV. We know what we read in the Western press. What is the situation really like on the ground in Ukraine?
Okay, very simple. Whatever they said in the Western press is different. It's quite opposite. So Russia is grinding them. Russia is advancing on the 5, 6, or 7 directions. It's not a big pushes like in World War II, with the whole armies going through. Russia is grinding them. Russia got that city of Avdiivka, which was the most crucial node in the defense, Ukrainian defense, fortified area, which they built 8 years, or for, no, not 8, for 10 years, they fortified that area. Now, Ukrainians, they can't establish the defense lines, because defense lines is not like a World War I style trenches from Black Sea to the Belarusian border. It's just a nodes which are anchored in the particular settlements or villages or towns. Now there is nothing, not after Avdiivka, there is nothing that even resembles the situation there. In Russia, is simply rotating their troops, putting reserves, rotating them every, let's say, a week or even less, with overwhelming firepower. So Russia is doing like a drumming on Ukrainian positions. For each Ukrainian shells, Russia fire 10 to 15 theirs, and they have reserves. They have millions of those shells available, and they're getting better day by day. So situation is that Ukrainians need to retreat. If they stay on the current positions, they're done, they're finished. And what they're doing, they're now mobilizing people in their 40s or 50s, sending them without any training or with basic training, and those guys are poor guys. I mean, I'm sorry for them. It's basically my age, so even I'm experienced. If I have to do that stuff, I have to be retrained, at least to get back the physical ability to run away when they start to shoot. So it is a big problem with them. They're talking about a lack of ammunition, but they have it. They have ammunition. They accumulated. Russia blowing that stuff from time to time, but there is ammunition there. But the problem is there is no people. You can bring tanks, you can bring equipment, but you can't bring people back. If you look at one of those, any of those honest videos, how they collect people on the streets, they're just intercepting people, grabbing people from the buses, cars, street cars, whatever, put them in uniform and send to the front line. And after 7 days, they're done, they're finished. So what they can do, they can try to surrender, but if they want to surrender, Ukrainians bombing them. The Ukrainians shooting them. They can't go back, because the problem is if they go back, they will be hit by blocking detachments. And those blocking detachments, there's Azov staff, Nazi, they're foreign mercenaries, they're doing that stuff. So they're dirty stuff, executing their own people. That is the biggest problem. So Ukraine does not have people to do the stuff. They're running out of able bodies to do the fight. So what they're going to do? They're going to put the people from the high school right into the military to collect the students, to go down the streets and catch whoever they can. And the problem is that they're catching people who are mostly for the Russia, who are leaning to the Russian cause. So you will not see that stuff often in Lviv or those Western Ukrainian towns, because those people already run away to Poland, Slovakia, or Hungary. But the Ukrainians simply catch the stuff, and theoretically and practically the war is lost. They lost this war. It's the only thing that they can do is simply retreat to the Dnieper River, so at least they will have a natural border, and try to save whatever is left from Ukraine. Or if they continue with this, they will not one day they will not have enough people to fight. They lost almost 450,000, and that number came from the Russian intelligence. But bear in mind, it's not just one source. It's a multiple, many sources. One source is, for instance, they're taking the records of the cemeteries, of the burials. Then there is in Ukrainian defense ministry, they have their people who can pull up the proper number of casualties in the department which is doing that counting. Ukraine has an enormous number of missing in action people, and they're keeping them missing in action, because in that case they don't need to pay to the families. That is the biggest problem. Russia also suffer heavy casualties, but not even close what 31,000. Sorry, 31,000 is for Ukrainians.
No.
These cemeteries around Kiev, not even counting the whole country. And Russian trust me when I said that they have sources. They have sources in top of the Ukrainian establishment, so they know the numbers. And the best people who doing with this stuff, they know the numbers. But for the sake of keeping relationship with Ukraine, supporting no matter what, they're telling whatever they're telling that BS stuff on the on in the media.
Well, do you think Russia will take Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine? Because I read an article on ITARTASS, the Russian English news agency, and former Prime Minister and former President Dmitry Medvedev said that eventually they probably will go and take Kyiv.
I don't think it will be like a battle for Kiev or battle for any of those big cities, because there will be huge casualties among the civilian population, and on both sides, because it's if for instance U.S. military is fighting instead of Russia, Kiev will be leveled, or Kharkiv or Odessa. They will level them. Or look what Israel is doing in Gaza. So that will be the same situation if U.S. fighting Ukrainians. But no, Russia is not going to do that. All of those big cities probably will be cut off, and the people inside of those cities will simply say, "Okay, enough is enough. We are going back. We are going back home," because according to Russian sources, Kiev, Kharkov, Odessa, they're all Russian cities. And if you look in the history or through the history, yeah, they are. Western Ukraine is what is really Ukraine. But bear in mind that the first time word Ukraine popped up was 1917. So before that, it was Ukraina. It was just a borderland. And the first time that they mentioned Ukraine is during the World War One, when the Russia actually exited from the war. So, and you know who said that? The leader of neo-Nazi, the last remaining leader of Ukrainian neo-Nazi from World War II. So I believe that that guy has some knowledge, definitely. So. If you look through the history, yeah, I believe that Russia is going to get their historical territories, what they claim, back. In that process, they're going to denazify Ukraine and demilitarize Ukraine. So that is the point. West is sending equipment, and that equipment is just burning on Ukrainian fields. So it will be a lot of scrap metal to collect after war. Don't take me wrong. Russia also has casualties. Russia is losing equipment, but Russia developed that to the very, very high level. All equipment, damaged equipment that is feasible to be saved or repaired is going back, repaired, and sent back to the front. In Ukraine, you don't have that possibility. Look what happened with Abrams tank. Much prized Abrams tank. First several, I think, they burned already. They talk about that on all mouth. Everybody thought the Russian is going to run away. Then Russian drone operators just blow one. And they show that. So yeah, Abrams is good tank, excellent tank for the U.S. concept of warfare, meaning full logistic support and Air Force support, mean aerial dominance. In that case, yeah, Abrams is going to work, but not in Ukraine. That stuff is spending so much gas that they need fuel tanks to drive behind. And in Ukraine, that stuff is going to be blown up as soon as Russians find them that they're on the road. And no need really to destroy every tank, but if you destroy logistics, it's just a chance.
Well, is it true that Ukrainian troops are complaining about the impotence of Western so-called advanced weapons?
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to maintain that, because they need a significant number of spare parts. Bear in mind, Western equipment is nice, it's good one. It's functioning perfectly in the ideal conditions. But when in the mud, in the really conditions which are not favorable to that stuff, it's going to break. Russian equipment also breaks, but it's easier to repair. And for instance, where are you going?
Let's see if they're get him back. I think we lost Mike for a minute. Yeah, I think we lost Mike for a minute. Hopefully, the connection will come right back in. Um, so I don't know if it's a connection or if it's these guys playing tricks again that, on this platform. But yeah, I see I'm looking at a screen now. I just pulled it up. I'm looking at a screen now. He's frozen, so that means his internet is out. Hopefully he'll come out and then come back in or whatever like that. Hopefully we can get that to happen. But until then, I just want to say to a lot of you, I didn't get a chance to say this at the beginning. Oh, he's going out. He's coming back in. I didn't get a chance to say this in the beginning. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today on the most powerful platform for truth, bar none, anywhere on the face of God's green earth. Thank you all for lending me your ear and giving me some of your time. And we hope that the show will give you an equal or greater value to the time that you're spending with us. Now, I want to talk about a few things, and hopefully Mike will jump back in. I specifically want to talk about vindication. I was looking at an article, and matter of fact, let me see if I can pull it up real quick while I'm talking to you all. Now, it's about Vladimir Putin and the president of the Russian Federation. And in an article, he was talking about how they asked him about what he regretted, and one of his regrets was not to initiate the special military operation earlier, right? He came to the conclusion that the West can't be trusted, and on top of that, that lives could have been saved. That's exactly what I've been telling you guys on this platform. Vladimir Putin came to that understanding, and I was telling you guys, and people were telling me, "Oh no. He had to wait and he had to do this." And you will have to be a fool to believe that Russia was not preparing for this eventuality or conflict with NATO when NATO has shown disregard for its national security and its national interests over the span of decades. You would have to have an inept, crazy, detached leader not to understand that every time Russia voiced their concerns about what the U.S. and NATO was doing at the time when Russia was a weakened nation or a weakened power, and NATO and the U.S. brushed it aside and did everything that they said that they were not going to do. You would have to be a deranged leader not to believe that the eventual target of these moves was you and your nation. So when you have that common sense, you build up in accordingly with what you expect to come from them and what you see, because you don't judge a person just by their talk. You judge them by their actions. And since the collapse of the Soviet Union, America had been pulling out of treaties, had been trying to build weapons that were banned under those treaties, and moving closer and closer to Russia, ignoring Russia's warnings and security interests. So over that span of time, Russia was building up its economy for this exact thing that's going on. And it was building up its reserves and its political clout. So in 2014, it may not have been as strong as it is now, but it was there. And now President Vladimir Putin has come to the conclusion of what I've been telling you. And I remember interviewing a few guests, and they were saying, and we talked on this, and they were like, well, maybe the economy wasn't ready, maybe this and maybe that. But the president of the Russian Federation has come to my conclusion that he should have acted in 2014. He should not have pulled back the rebels in the Donbass region who were on their way to take Kyiv. He shouldn't have done that. He allowed the U.S. and the EU to finesse him. And then they built up to this moment where they wanted to conquer Ukraine and use it against Russia. Think about the hundreds of thousands of lives that could have been spared. Think about that. Ukraine's, and I'm just bringing this up, Ukraine's territorial integrity could have also been preserved. They could have reinstalled Viktor Yanukovych, who was ousted in an illegal coup against the legitimate, democratic, as the West likes to say, elected president in his administration. Mr. Vladimir Putin has come to the conclusion of what I have been telling you guys on this platform, because it's common sense to me. First of all, who in their right mind would even trust anything that the United States government says? I'm talking about on security interests. Show me where have they shown an interest or respect for the national security of Syria, the national security of Yemen, the national security of the African nation. We have Mike back in the booth, and I'm going to bring him in, and the national security of Asian nations and even Eastern European nations. The United States doesn't care about that. She uses everybody for a certain purpose, and once you're used up, you become dispensable to the empire. Look at how they are. Even Lindsey Graham has stated, Senator Lindsey Graham has stated that Ukraine is providing the bodies. Do you know how sick that has to be in your ear? To use a nation's youth and men to fight a war that doesn't have to be fought now. The only reason it's being fought is because you're trying to be the global hegemon, and that you're trying to weaken and eventually balkanize Russia. That is a sycophant's mind. That is a sociopath a mind to disregard the lives of an entire nation and look at them as dispensable in your policies to subjugate a near peer or equal power. That's absolutely insane. Well, I'm gonna bring Mike in right now.
I have a problem with internet because
we
it's
are.
so windy here, and whenever there is some, in Canada, everything, whenever you have some problem with snows, rain, too hot, too cold, there is some issues with whatever is going with that. Sorry about it again.
It's okay.
Yeah, I have to use my mic.
Mike,
I can't use my computer. So
I was reading and I was just talking. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So I want to ask you something. I was reading an article a few days ago where President Vladimir Putin said, when they asked him a question about his regrets, and he had a regret. And one of the regret that he had the most, he said, was to not act sooner and to in the situation in Ukraine, and to disregard what the EU was pushing. Why do you think he has come to that conclusion?
Well, he is the type of man that will delay any rapid action, any strong action, and whatever time takes, so that he can try to find something more reasonable solution. But bear in mind, once he said that what streets of Leningrad or St. Petersburg today, what that lured him, it taught him that if in the case when there is no other solutions, if you have to strike, you have to strike first, and yes. That is something that he has done. 2014, Russians take Crimean Peninsula back to their to the mainland, to the motherland. But see, the problem with this, too much patience. He trusted Western politicians, and that was the biggest mistake. You can't trust those guys. They're talking one thing, thinking second thing, and doing the third thing. So you can't trust them. And how you can work with somebody that you can't have any trust. And they said that all of that Minsk agreement that was simply buying the time so that they can arm Ukraine. And as you mentioned, it's simply using the Ukrainian people as cannon fodder.
So, with that said, and we see how the situation is progressing in Ukraine, and we see not only Russia beating Ukraine, but also beating, which was essentially the most powerful military in Europe, because it was armed to the T by the U.S. and NATO. It was trained to U.S. and NATO standards and specifications, and Russia has not defeated Ukraine once, but we're going on the fourth army now that Russia has defeated,
right.
And Russia is denazifying them and demilitarizing them. At the same time, they're doing it to NATO and the United States. Why, knowing that, why would Macron even hint at wanting to put soldiers on the ground against a force that he knows that he cannot beat?
Well, let's talk about his credibility. He's leader of the big country, economically strong country, but who is really Macron? He's more Macron than Macron. He's not a leader. He is not a strategist. He got his interest kicked in Africa because all of those former colonies, French colonies, that they exploited people to their bones. Now I think that they kicked almost all of those countries. They kicked French troops out. Now Macron is trying to play a big shot. He thinks that maybe he's Napoleon, but whoever tried through the history to get to Russia, get out, if it get out with the bloody nose. So he's I don't even know how to define him. He's simply unimportant. The small dogs that a lot of barks. Yeah, that will be something. He's simply nobody. And
do you think? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead. Finish your point.
Yeah, because he tried to pretend that he's the strong leader, strong man of Europe, but he's just one of the small screws in the big rusty mechanism called NATO and EU. So that mechanism is not lubricated for a while, and now they're lubricating that with Ukrainian flesh and blood. So but it can last for long. Situation in France is getting worse and worse every day. They have problems with illegal immigration. They have problems with farmers, and you know what those guys they're doing. I recently saw that they rolled up residents of some of those local politicians. Just go there, put the bricks on his gate, cast iron gate, and wall him inside. So they're dumping manure on the French government institutions. No, it's not. Honestly, it's not really bad idea, but it's wasting of manure. But politically, yeah, it is okay. This is the biggest problem with them. He's trying, and all of those leaders like Scholz or Sunak, Rishi Sunak. So they think that they're somebody, but they're not. They're really nothing. And the worst. The worst of those leaders were Boris Johnson. Just find his barber, lock him in the Tower of London, and toss the key in the Thames River.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that Macron would have done this without U.S. approval?
Well, he's trying to be to act independently, but on the end of the day, they're always asking for advice, for their opinion to be channeled from the U.S. or sometimes not from the U.S., sometimes from Tel Aviv.
Well, since we're looking at this situation, Russia has said that if those troops are deployed there, then it is inevitable that Russia and NATO will go to war. But aren't there troops already there?
Yes, they are. Special forces are there. Specialists in maintenance of those Western equipment like HIMARS or other MLRSs. Also, it will be specialists in electronic warfare. So yes, they are there. They're just in different uniforms. But you change uniform and you're basically a member of the other military. So that special forces, as I said, they're there. They're advisors. They're retired generals. They're doing through the private military companies. Also, there is a significant number of I don't know even how to call them, losers who think that everything is just a shooting game. Is EU going to, or NATO is going to put some regular troops in their own uniforms? Yeah, they may. I think that there is a plan in Poland. Poles, they already have selected brigades that can take Lviv and basically renamed it to Lemberg and also Volyn. So those historically Polish territories in Western Ukraine. So it is possible. It is possible, but are they going to get attacked? They're perfect, legitimate targets. But in this case, if this happened, then Russia can simply eliminate all of NATO electronic warfare abilities, all of those drones and electronic warfare planes that are scouting just before or prior to the Ukrainian attacks. And I would say that most of those attacks are actually led by NATO staff. Because you can't train somebody to operate this stuff within a year. You need to have somebody who is really very skilled at that, and who is better to do that than people who are trained in the West. Those guys maybe are retired, maybe called in reserve, but it is what it is. I mean, it's this trend is going to continue. I'm sure.
We know for a fact that Britain has special forces there. We know that Poland has special forces there.
Yes.
We know that Germany may have a few, and it's sprinkled with all kind of NATO special forces. I read that Israel is about to transfer air defense systems, and I read this in the Jerusalem Post, I believe, that Israel is about to transfer radars and air defense systems there. Why, with knowing this, why is Russia so restrained in its response? Why hasn't Russia upped the ante and given Syria weaponry? Because remember that when Russia and Georgia went to war, Saakashvili was he had advisors from Israel. So why is Russia so restrained? And Americans all over the world fighting everybody. Why isn't Russia doing unto America what she and America's allies what they're doing unto her? They're openly stated, we're going to arm Ukraine, we're going to arm this place, we're going to do this, and yet Russia has not done unto the West as they have done unto them, and Russia is losing lives in Ukraine.
There's a lot of barking, we call that simply barking, because what West deliver, maybe 10% is something which is new. All other stuff is pulled up from the storages, so they're getting rid of that stuff so they can refill their own storages, magazines, or warehouses. Often that equipment that they deliver is obsolete or doesn't working, need some repairs. But Ukraine is like a deep black hole. Whatever you dump in, it is going to swallow. And Russia is whatever they send, Russia is simply destroying that. And Russia is for Russia it is good training ground, so to learn how to fight that stuff. In my opinion, if, for instance, they hit some of those electronic warfare stuff like RC-135 or AVAXs or surveillance drones, if they can get them out, in that case, it will be much better for Russia because they will not be exposed to them. Regarding to Israel, Israeli stuff is good, but it's limited. It's overpriced. It's the same like US. It's overpriced and it may work in Israeli conditions, but in Ukraine it's completely different. In Israel they're fighting against Hezbollah or against Hamas. They have almost like a kitchen-made rockets, particularly Hamas or the garage-made one. And but now when they face Houthis, they have to call money to come to save them, because that's the first thing that they ordered the UK and US to come to the Red Sea. In Ukraine, their stuff is not going to work because they need to send the people who are going to operate it. And Israelis, no matter how skilled they have to protect their own airspace. So to train Ukrainians to do that, it will take a time, and I would say whatever they send, if they send anything, 90% is going to be blown right away. And for Russia, they don't need to. For Russia, it's good because it's close to their borders to get rid of that stuff. They don't need to go and bomb Germany or Netherlands or France for that equipment, and they will simply keep them. Send them whatever they want. Russians, they found a way how to deal with that stuff.
So Russia has been so restrained in their response. When Ukraine supposedly, and I continue to tell people, a few people told me privately that the strikes on those Russian military bases were carried out under the direct supervision of special forces of
Yes, yes,
NATO.
yes, yeah.
Um,
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
why didn't Russia respond in kind? That's what I'm saying. Because listen, I don't think Putin understands the mind of America. Forget NATO for a second. America. If you continue to allow America to do this, she will continue to do it. And if you don't hit her in the chops and make her pause for me, she's going to continue. Look at the escalation of what she said she wouldn't do. And we look every time she says, we won't deploy this. We won't give them that. Then she winds up giving it to them. And now Stoltenberg stated that we should be able to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russian territory. I mean, why is Russia so restrained with that?
Well, Russia is patient. Slavic people are patient people, so they will like, okay, do whatever you want. But when we hit, said here with Slavs, when Slavs hit, it will be really, really, really bad hit. Regarding to that special forces that they use to do some stuff like a guidance or fighting, see, they like to be housed in the nice hotels, to have a service and all, and to be close to all of those in the rear establishments, red light district or whatever, bars, pubs, so they can have a booze. And from time to time, you hear that some of those stuff were hit, and there were many casualties, but you will not read about those casualties in the Western press. But sometimes you'll see, Navy SEAL got killed in a car accident, or general crash in his private airplane, or somebody died from heart attack, like for instance that Italian Bersaglieri, Lieutenant Colonel, heart attack in 45, or some, let's say, British simply drawn in swimming pool or something like that. Yeah, this is the way how they will cover it. But they're hitting them. Recently, they hit French mercenaries. Not only mercenaries, there was French Legion officers, from major to colonel. And they simply Russians. They had their names. They give to the French ambassador names. Just look at the face of the French ambassador when he left Russian foreign ministry. I mean, it's a grayish face. So they presented him with the name, date of birth, service numbers, everything was there, and more than 60 of them. Just one attack. So how many of those attacks are going to follow, and how many of them were before? Yeah, so they're hitting them, and Russia is not fighting like a propaganda war. Russia is doing what is necessary to be done on the battlefield. It's not about how many memes they're going to post or whatever. Who cares about that? That's just stupidity that those who abuse, like a dog, that nice dog picture on Twitter, and putting those cartoons or memes, it's just stupidity. They're not going to win the war with that. The war is winning with the bombs. Whoever can produce more bombs and place more bombs on the proper place or the proper time, and eliminate the enemy, that side is going to win the war. It's like a box match. The guy who is standing last. Is the winner. Who is laughing last is laughing loudest. And it will come. If they try to push more and more, you will see more and more cases like this. Then, for instance, what's happening in the Ukrainian rear? You have a train load of drones or ammunition just blown up, somewhere, or exploded. They don't say they're blown up; it's exploded or derailed. Got fire, burned to the last crew. Well, yeah, it's things are going. We don't know. I mean, it's perfectly normal that we don't know, because it is war. So in the war, many things are happening, and it's going to happen until one side decides, hey, enough is enough. Here it is. Here's yours. It is. We are done. Move that jerk in green, smelly green shirt out. Let him go to Florida and live in his villa, and let U.S. taxpayers take care of whatever rest is of Ukraine, because Ukraine as a country is living on borrowed time. Everything is financed by West, and how long they're going to stay? It's not just an overnight change. It is going to last for a long time. But numbers are clear. Numbers are simply saying what the real situation is. Casualties decrease in the standards, prices, GDP. Yes, everything is. See, everything is expect casualties are going down. Only casualties are going up, skyrocketing.
Mm. Do you think that there will be a Ukraine after this war? Because if Russia leaves Western Ukraine, even though it may not be a economically viable state, the
Mhm.
United States and Britain and NATO will fill that gap, that
Mhm.
vacuum right there with missiles and missile defense systems there.
Well, I don't think that it will. Ukraine is as we know before 2022. No, it's gone. It's gone, and they wanted to cut all relationship with the past, with the Soviet Union, and bear in mind that without Soviet Union, it will not be Ukraine. So it wouldn't be Ukraine at all. So yeah, denazification, demilitarization, and the Ukrainization. So Russia is going to get whatever was their territories, Malorossiya, how they call that, so that those four oblast or regions. Plus, it will be other stuff like Kharkov. It will be something all the way to Dnieper, even more. Ukraine may have something which is we call like a independent state, but they will change the government. They will change the government completely. They will change their constitution and declare not independence, but they will declare neutrality, complete neutrality, and that will be all. Poles, they may take their own their claimed territories that Lenin gave them, or Stalin gave them actually, not Lenin. So they will take maybe that, and that's the only part of Ukraine that may go to EU. But EU is it's getting worse and worse every day. So I doubt that it's going to stay for a long time. But Ukraine will never get back to whatever they claim 1991, maybe 1631 or something like that. But 1991 or 2022 they can forget about that.
So in essence, you're saying that they will eventually um, accept what Russia had offered them at the beginning, only in a less advantageous position because they would have lost hundreds of thousands of lives,
Yeah.
um, their military, their industry, their rich farmland, and everything
Mhm.
that made Ukraine a viable state. They would lose all of that and then come to the negotiating table and
Yeah.
accept part of what Russia had already offered them before. And
Yeah.
had they
Yeah.
accepted it before, they would have still been Ukraine.
Yeah. They will never have a better offer than it was in Minsk or in April 2022. That was the best offer that they had, and that's gone. That's gone because they can say thank you to that guy with the barber unfriendly guy from UK. So yeah, it's regarding to when you mention rich soil and that stuff. That stuff is was assigned to the BlackRock and all of those huge U.S. Financial institutions, to call them like that. So it's not part of Ukraine anymore. So Ukraine now is fighting because it's a Western investment. So they have to do what the masters or those who bought the stuff, uh, what that guy or guys want them to do. So unfortunately for them, I mean, Ukraine is a wonderful country, wonderful people, but it is what it is. They had the Minsk agreement. They tossed it in the water. They had the 2022 April Istanbul agreement. They tossed that too. I don't think it will be any more agreements. So the last thing will be just sign off capitulation and change the government. They may be able to keep what is now, let's say, half of Kiev and Zhytomyr and some Kryvyi Rog, that stuff. Hungarians, Slovaks, Poles, they will take their own stuff. Then may even have an arrangement with Russia down the road. So okay, we'll take that. We are going to incorporate in our country without, but we will not deploy any troops there. I mean, it may be some diplomatic games. Who knows what is going to happen? But one thing is sure, that Ukraine will never be what was before. Period. Full stop.
Wouldn't the new government that runs this rump state Ukraine have evidence to present before the international court or the so-called international criminal court against NATO nations, because the loss of hundreds of thousands of lives, the loss of territory, the loss of rich farmland and the sea coast.
Yeah, that is gone.
Aren't those war crimes and crimes against humanity by instigated by the West?
Yeah, they can try to do that, but you know what? It's where is that court located? It's not in Moscow.
Right?
In Beijing. It's located in Den Haag, in the middle of Netherlands. So yeah, I doubt it. Those institutions, they lost their credibility. And one day, maybe if mankind become normal again, something is going to happen with that. But for now, I don't think so. It's the Ukrainians can blame their own government for that. And you know, those who are now in the power, they already stashed huge amount of cash. All they need is to cross the border with that cash. And from time to time, you see that they catch them on the border. Wife of this deputy or that deputy with just $1 million. Just a few banknotes in the trunk of the car for shopping.
Well, you know, I have to bring this point up because people think that Russia and the United States are just having a proxy war in Ukraine, but they forget about the U.S. pushing against Russia in Syria, the U.S. pushing against Russia in Africa, the U.S. is pushing against Russia in Armenia, in Georgia, in Moldova, and all of the ex-Soviet space. Yeah. Why do you think that it's so hard for the Western public to understand that if the shoe was on the other foot, America would declare war?
It's simply brainwashing. Western public is brainwashed with the stupid shows, reality and that stuff, so they don't even think about what's really going on. The only time that people really will start to think is when they feel that on their pockets. Otherwise, it's like like ancient strategy. Give people bread and games. Let them give people bread, give them something cheap so they can buy some hamburgers or whatever, and give them games, give them some sports, and give them a reality show and those pop stars like Taylor Swift or whatever, so that and give them entertainment, and then that's it. So they will keep people busy, occupied, not to think how their government is actually cheating them. And honestly, I'm worried what is going on in the States, because by November, who knows what is going to happen there. It is very, very tricky.
Yeah, and I was thinking as you were talking, for the public, the American or the Western public, to think about this. The United States almost took the world to nuclear war because Russia had a military base and was moving missiles in Cuba, which lies some 95 to 110 miles away from the coast of Florida. Yeah. And yet, and the United States deemed that an unacceptable national security threat. Yeah. And yet they were 20 kilometers from Russia's border. Yeah. And that was not a security threat to Russia.
Exactly.
How is that? It's bizarre world. How is that?
Bizarre. It is bizarre, but more bizarre, people will think, oh, now something is good because we have wise government, wise leaders, and of course, nobody's wiser than President Biden. Yeah, so everything is there. He's the great leader, one of the most trusted and reliable partner. Whatever he said is absolutely true. So, yeah, it's almost like watching like a comedy show when he talks. And when you look at the Congress and Senate, they should have, instead of their suits, they should have the jackets, right there on Pfizer, McDonnell Douglas, or whatever, so for their sponsors. And it's almost like all this profession is. You have all services are allowed to just cost a lot of money. It's funny. I mean, but it will be tricky. I simply wouldn't like to be in the States when the time for elections come, because who knows what is going to happen. Hopefully, everything will be peaceful. Hopefully, because Howdy, there's better people than Americans. So easygoing everywhere in every situation. But the government is completely different. Ordinary American people, yeah, number one. or yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, it's so easy. They're so easygoing people. But when you have to deal with the politicians,
when do you think Russia's patience will wear out? And what if and I'm saying something that is a high probability because of the constant escalation. What if America continues to ignore Russia's red line? What if NATO continues to ignore Russia's red line and start supplying deep strike weaponry, start more terrorist attacks on Russian territory?
yeah, it will come. But you know what? It's like a bully. Bully is by definition a person who will continue to do what if he has a port with a pack of other bullies. But when bully is punched into the nose and leveled on the floor, well, that situation is changed. And you know what? You don't poke the bear. You can try to take some hair from his tail or his neck or his ears, but don't poke him. It's just a patient. So Russia is patient enough. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not sorcerer to say what's going to happen. But whatever is going to happen, I'm afraid that it will not be something which will say, okay, it's peaceful, it's good. It's somebody's nose is going to be bloody, for sure. So we'll see. Hopefully there is enough sane people that on the West that they will prevent it. But when you look at those World Economic Forum and those Klaus Schwab and his students and his pupils, I have my doubts.
So do you think that if America and NATO continues to escalate, there will be war in Europe? I'm talking about across Europe.
Well, a classic war, no, but because if there will be war in Europe, yeah, it will be nuclear, and it will be over in half an hour to 1 hour. That's it. Who is benefiting for that? Well, probably only U.S. But the U.S. government is going to lose the clients. those clients which they put in the power in Europe. So it will be tense situation for years to come, no matter who is the president, because it's simply the way of working. But bear in mind, Swedes they tried 300 years ago. They lost in Poltava. Napoleon tried. He lost in Moscow in 1812. Hitler tried that. This is just history is repeating. There is always coalition against Russia, and they always get out with the bloody nose. So people really should start to read something. But now it's not only Russia. Now you have a China on the Russian side. You have North Korea. Somebody said, "Oh, North Korea, they don't have something to eat." Yeah, but I try to attack them. Try to remove Kim. He's not Saddam or Gaddafi.
Right.
And that guy, they call him dictator. But in North Korea, healthcare is free, dental free, education is free, apartments are free. So, it's people living for the Western standard. They're poor. But, they have everything provided by their government. Is that good or not? Yeah, there are pros and cons. And now they have a protection from China. They can protect themselves, by the way, but they have allies in China. They have ally in Russia. Now you have Iran, and Iran is see what's going on there. I mean, Iran is not like a monolithic nation that there is multiple nationalities there, but it's a strong country. You don't mess with that, and it's just a matter of time when they will get nuclear. I think that they already have something in their storages they can dump in Tel Aviv, but they're not showing that publicly. But they're very close. And in the Middle East, you have Israel, and you have, I call that the Bakshish Arab government that does not represent the Arab people. So it's a mess. It's a mess.
So what, and close, because I know you have things to do, and I'm going to try to get you back on another time. But in closing, do you think that we are living in the fall of American power, American dominance, and the collapse of the Western um,
Yeah.
rules-based order?
Yes, because simply what before why America was strong, because the family values.
Mhm.
Family values. So, for instance, in the 50s or 60s, if husband work, the whole family can afford the house, can afford to educate children. It was respect for religion, whatever people believe. It was organized society. But now the American society, Western societies, with that woke culture, if we can call that woke culture, everything is going down. And when you crash the basic value of society is family, then you take that from people, then you don't have foundations anymore. And that is basically just the beginning. And bear in mind that the societies are not collapsing in 1 year or 6 months. Look how long it took to Rome to collapse. But you can pull the parallel of the collapse of the Roman Empire and U.S. Empire. Look how many illegal immigrants are now coming. They said, okay, they're going to be mobilized to enlist to the U.S. military. Yeah, but in Romans, in the end of empire, there were not too many original Romans in the Roman military, but representatives or people from those Gothic tribes, whatever, some Slavic tribes. So yeah, you lost connection. You lost the family is a basic value. You lost respect to God. You lost respect to the people property, and you're trying to implement some ideas. Yeah, and you're trying to put somebody called that like a rule-based order. Which rule? Who put that rule? Multipolarity is the future, not unipolarities, and not the bullies. So, yeah, I mean, I just hope that American people will live in peace and
Man,
live through this transition in peace.
Mike, thank you for joining me on this
My pleasure.
platform. I got to get you back on here, man. I got to get you back.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Be blessed.
Okay.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
bud.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much.
You're welcome.
Everybody, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today and for showing Mike some respect for coming on the platform. We really appreciate it. Before we go out, I got to take the time out right now to thank the lady who gave me life and who raised me. And I want to thank her and I want to give credit to her. Today is her birthday. It's a special day, not just for her, but for me and for the entire family, especially my children, because in their eyes, Nana is so. Mom, I'm praying and I'm hoping and I'm gonna do my part to make you have a blessed and happy birthday. I thank God Almighty for allowing both of us to be here to celebrate another birthday. You mean the world to me. I'm telling it to you, but I'm telling it to you in front of the world. Everybody, wish my mom a happy birthday. The greatest woman that God has ever given to this earth. I love you more than life. Hey, everybody, listen. As we go out, know that I love you. If you love truth, but know that the true and living God, he will always, always love you better. No doubt about it. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but above all things, stay righteous. And thank each and every one of you all for giving me your time. From the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul, I really, really appreciate it. The movement continues. Hey, mama, your baby boy still loves you more than life. Deuces, everybody. Thank you all. I'm out of here. Peace.